Hey, bitches! And welcome to my very first episode of Kaylee Unfiltered, hosted by yours truly, Kaylee, bitch. If you don't know me, you will. Remember that, because like I said, it's 2025 and we are standing on business, bitch. If you ain't, then you ain't really on shit. Anywho, let's start off my podcast with my man, Mr. Kaylee.
I'm the special guest.
He's special.
Yes, indeed.
Anyways, like I said, we're starting off with Mr. Kaylee. We starting off strong. If you know me, you know him. If you know him and don't know me, I don't fuck with you. Remember it. But anywho, we are. How does it feel? Like, are you excited for me to start a podcast?
Yeah.
How do you think it's gonna go?
I think it's gonna go good. You know, you got a lot of personality, and people just are attracted to that personality. You know.
Okay.
They like you as a person, so you just gonna.
And there is people that don't like me as a person, and that's fine too, because I bet you they're gonna be the first in line to watch.
Mm-hmm.
You wanna talk shit?
I'm running your man.
You want? But anyways, y'all, I feel like the number one question that we always have, because like I said, a lot of people don't know us. How did we end up Mr. Kaylee and Mrs. Kaylee?
Basically, I hit her up on Snapchat. You know, I was trying to. And I did. That's the story, you know.
That's it. That's all.
Yeah, I cracked.
No, because you gotta tell them first how I curved you a couple days.
Yeah, I guess she was playing hard to get for like 2
I wasn't.
seconds.
I folded easier than a long chair,
like
bitch. It wasn't
seconds, you know. Basically.
Yeah. So what is the thought process? Because I know y'all. What is the thought process behind getting married young? What was the thought process like to do that?
Just like, fuck it. I love you, you know. I was like, we just gonna do this shit.
As a man, do you feel like when you know, do you think that's a real thing? Because I know there's a lot of women out here who have been with a man for like a really long time, and it's still no ring behind it, which is okay. That's okay too, because marriage isn't for everyone. But do you feel like when you know,
the way you know is like when like a girl can like check off like your list, you know, she can check off all the boxes on your list. That's when you.
What is some of those boxes that you think is like what has to be to give a woman a ring? She got to
be somewhat intelligent, you know, and she got to be financially stable, you know. I feel like those are my top 3.
That's understandable. And what if like, say the woman does take off like everything for that man, what do you think some of the reasonings not to get married is, other than like the usual, which is going to be like benefits and stuff like that? What do you think goes through a man's head when they're just like never ready to do that?
If they're not ready, they're probably just like, you're not it. You know, if they're not ready to marry you, you're probably not the one, honestly. I'm just being truthful, you know. Like, when you're ready to marry someone, you know you're ready to marry someone.
I agree 100%. As a woman too, like I feel like you have to stand your ground, because I feel like there is some men who are so like ready to get married quick, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like if you're a woman and don't want to get married yet, don't. Yeah,
there's some out there that do rush into it and then they end up regretting it, you know.
What do you think some of the truths are about like marriage, like expectation versus reality? What are some of the expectations and then like the reality of it?
My expectations were, you know, I was gonna have it easy when it comes to fucking tax time and taxes and shit and stuff like that. You know, I didn't expect for like stuff to get like hard financially, like. Not even just trying to get aid and stuff, you know. It can be hard out here just being a married couple, especially young, you know. You really can't get no assistance or nothing. Like,
That's very true. Yeah. If you're like one of those people and you rely on like EBT or like Medicaid and stuff like that, getting married probably isn't for you, just because since COVID things have changed so much. So if you do rely on that, and it's very expensive to get divorced, so if you're not 100%, you're going to spend more getting divorced than getting married, and that's just the reality of it. But what do you feel about, like, when you think you're getting married and you think, like, oh my gosh, everything is going to be great from there, and then, like, you realize, like, everything is not, like, what you see in movies? That's very real.
I knew that shit wasn't going to be great. You know, everybody has... we live in reality, you know, we don't live in a movie. Like, it's not going to be a fairy tale.
Never.
You have to always just gotta roll with the punches, you know.
Mm-hmm.
There will be highs, there will be lows. You just gotta get through them.
So what do you think, speaking of like highs and lows, what do you think are like hardest year of marriage was?
I ain't gonna lie, probably the hardest point in our marriage for me was when we lost your dad. You know, that it was just hard, you know, in general. It's hard for everybody to like cope with it and be able to communicate with each other. So we was just basically like off to ourselves, you know. Everybody just stuck to themselves during that time period. It was just...
I feel like no one talks about when you are going to get married that, like, marriage is forever, and you are going to have to be that person for someone who, like, coddles them and makes sure they're good. Like, you're going to have those losses. Reality is you're going to lose your parents at some point, and you have to make sure that, like, the person you're with is okay with you, like, living without your parents, because it's hard. It's extremely hard. I know for us, like, I've been close to my dad forever, but he was also, like, really big in Trayvon's life, too.
Yeah.
So I feel like at first when we first lost him, that was hard for both of us because neither of us knew how to talk to each other because we were both grieving loss of, like, literally a parent. Like, that's a parent figure for both of us. So I feel like when you get married, you really need to expect that. And I feel like that's something no one talks about. Like, no one wants to come to the reality.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you're going to lose the people you love the most. And how are you going to deal with that? I feel like that's a really big thing that no one talks about.
You know, sometimes I feel like we do have to give our significant other their space, you know. Like, you gotta give them their space, but you also gotta let them know that you're there. So...
Speaking of space, as two people who are always, like, with each other, like I said, when you see me and you see you... How do you go about, like, getting space in a marriage when you, like, live with someone and you see them 24/7, you're with them 24/7? How do you go about, like, getting your space? As a married man, how do you kind of escape to avoid temptation, if that makes sense? And I know what he's going to say. That's why he's looking at me crazy, because fuck that game. I hate when that PlayStation beeps, I'll be ready to set this house on fire.
Shit. That's how I get my space, you know. I go off. And I just play that fucking game, you know. Play the
fuck
game.
That game.
She watched
and
her
fuck
little,
his raggedy ass friends. I hope y'all watch that. Fuck y'all too. Taking my man all the time.
She watched her little One Tree Hill and then cut the PS5 on.
And I'll be asleep. I'll be knocked like to the world. Spread out.
She can't be really too. She can't be too mad. She be asleep anyway. So
across the whole king size bed.
Yeah.
As a man who did get married young, how do you go? Like, temptation is everywhere. I know he personally doesn't have social media, but, like, 99% of men do. I'm one of the lucky women, I guess.
Yeah.
But how do you go? Because, like, regardless, like, you can still face temptation. How do you think, like, men handle temptation in a committed relationship?
I really don't face temptation. I work around all men every day, so I don't have no social media, and I only talk to my wife, really, so I don't face temptation in life, so...
But I feel like everyone has, like, intrusive thoughts, like, what could it be? Because it's so easy, like, it's at your fingertips.
Yeah, people tend to do have them ideas. I guess, like, a good way to avoid temptation is just beating up your wife's ass. You know, or I mean, also, you know, you can't just beat up her ass. Like, it's hard to explain. You gotta have your space from her. but you also
because I feel like relationship burnout is very real. Like,
Yeah.
speaking of that space, if you don't get that space, you're gonna face burnout. Like, it's very easy. You can get burnout from anything: your job, your partner, your family.
It could be hard coming up with like ways to spend time with your significant other, because like you think like, damn, what am I gonna do? I'm just gonna go home, you know. She's gonna be like, let me spend some time with you, you know, and I'm like, what are we gonna do?
Watch TV.
so exactly, and we'll get like, she'll want me to spend time, and then we'll get in
But
there.
I feel like
we'll watch,
as a woman,
start watching TV. We'll start watching TV. Then she gets on her phone, you know. Then at that point, there's no point, you know.
No, but I feel like as a woman, like, it's just like the point of like being around.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, being present.
Thought. It's just the thought, you know.
It is. How do you think we best stay aligned during challenges? Like we said, we talked to him, like losing my dad and stuff. Like, how do you think we best stay aligned during those times?
By probably giving each other our space, like I said, you know. It's best for us to, because like we're automatically like, we've been alone. Like Kaylee, before I came along, she was on her own, you know. She was more of like a stay to herself type person. She's not an introvert by any means. She's got a wild personality, but she would rather not be around people 9 times out of 10. And that's the same way I am, you know. So basically it's just best to just stay apart when tensions are high and emotions are high, you know.
Yeah, 100%. Because I feel like an angry and hurt tongue says a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, people say a whole lot of shit they don't mean when they're going through.
I know I personally do. When I'm going through something, I will just like take out like the whole weight of the world on him, and I know like that's something I personally need to work on.
I take that shit because, you know, what do? You can't do nothing about it. You know, you just gotta support your wife.
I know, but as a man too, I feel like that's something we're working on. I feel like it can be very toxic, because the weight of the world, I know it's like, ooh, that's a man's job, blah, 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 like that's on a man, but it's really not. Like, men have feelings too. You have feelings. They're valid. They're extremely valid. And I feel like a lot of women think they can just walk all over them. And I know sometimes I catch myself walking all over him, but it's not healthy. It's not realistic. We're both people. We have to remember this is both of our first times living, you know. He's not like old to this shit. We're both new to it. We're like, this is both of our first time seeing 23. So I have to remember, like, hey, we're both learning. And I think that's really important, like, for a man's side and a woman's side.
Definitely.
Yeah. Speaking of that, like, marriage and money, how do you think that goes? Because, like, money is the root to everything. Finances.
Me and Kaylee are blessed for our age, so I don't stress about money as much, because like some dudes, they'll want to split bank account. They don't want to pay for anything. They always want to split everything, you know.
How do you feel about joint bank accounts?
Joint bank accounts, they're better, you know. Like, in the end, like, regardless, each half is going to put in 50%, you know. Whatever one person doesn't do, the other person's going to pick up. So I feel like financially it relates to that also, you know. Regardless, if y'all have a split bank account and y'all do end up splitting, everybody should leave the party 50-50, because regardless,
prenup,
each person has put half of that, like, you know, like they put 50% in. Okay,
so what about people who aren't 50-50? What about someone who is like either the man works or the woman works?
If you have alright, let's do this situation. Say there's a man going to work, providing for his whole family, and his wife doesn't work, you know, but she takes care of everything at home. When he comes home, he just eats and he gets to go to bed. House is clean, the kids are put to bed, everything. That woman still deserves 50% because
Homemaker.
she is the home life. You know, she's keeping up that house. If you're a man and you don't agree with this shit, you're completely wrong. Because that woman is literally doing everything she can to keep that house up, keep the children fed, you know, keep them clothed. You might be bringing in the money, but the whole time she's putting in all the work with the kids in the house.
Do you think 2-income households are winning? Do you think that's
Oh,
necessary?
yeah. I mean, it's a whole lot better, you know. I mean, of course you
have to factor in childcare too.
Yeah, some people. I mean, when you have 2 household incomes, you can afford childcare. Like, you know.
But you know what? Some people are just working strictly to pay for childcare because it is like insane pricing.
Yeah, some people if you're doing that, then I don't think that you should do it. I think you should just take care of your own kids and stay at home, because it's better off you teaching them the shit yourself, you know. Don't
and there's
have
some fucked up people out here.
Exactly, it's some bad people out here anyway. So if you're doing that, you might as well just teach them yourself, you know, keep them at home. But if you're actually making good money, I mean, I know you're sacrificing time with your kids and stuff, but it also builds structure for them in their life too, because they're going to be the same way when they get older. Hopefully they'll want to be successful just like you.
As a working man, were you looking for a woman who's putting in like equally as much, like a woman who's like really strong-minded, like career bound, or were you looking for more of like family oriented? Or are you looking for both? Because, you know, you can have...
I mean, you can have both, but like, it's hard to have both. But yeah, honestly, I feel like establishing a career and having financial things set in stone before like committing to a lot of things, you know. I feel like that is a really good thing to have set before you go into a whole lot of other stuff. It just makes things a whole lot easier, you know.
So as us being teen parents, like if we could go back, with you having like a living child and I don't, if you could like hypothetically go back, would you have wanted, because teen parenting is so normalized now. We've talked about this before, like teen parenting is super normalized, and that's okay. It's okay if you're not. There's no timeline for anyone. Everyone's timeline is different. But do you think the like smarter thing to do is like traditionally like go get a degree or go into like a working field, try to establish a career before having a family? Do you think that's like more logical, or do you think there's no time frame and like
the only time you should be having a kid that young is if you're like some successful artist or you're just already got daddy's money or something? You definitely gotta have money to raise a kid. You shouldn't be doing it in school, because it makes your life so much harder. And I'm not like frowning upon, because I did it, you know, but I hated it. Like, you know, I love my son, but I hated having to like go through that stuff as a teenager, because you miss out on a lot of things when you do that at that young of an age. You miss out on a lot, and opportunities, they come and they go. And you don't get a lot of opportunities when you're older. You get all these opportunities when you're younger, and I feel like you should be taking advantage of your youth while you have it instead of wasting it, you know, honestly.
So that's back to that. With you having a living child here, and I don't, for you that don't know, my daughter passed away when she was 9 months old. Did you know what you were getting into and like the challenges that may come with that?
No, I didn't. I knew I was gonna have to cater to her more, you know, and...
Were you ever hesitant with me, like, with the fact that I went through that and you did have a child? Did you think, like, foresee any issues possibly coming out of that? Just, like, from what I dealt with, like, mentally, or just, like, any fears that came with that, knowing the situation?
No, I didn't have no fears at all, because, you know, Kaylee as a person, she is genuinely a good person, you know. She'd never do anything to anybody, you know. And even though, you know, like God gives his toughest battles to his toughest angels, and she's just genuinely a good person. I just be rambling, but like still.
Oh, do you?
No, I had no fears. I had no fears about her being around my son, from her being like traumatized from her losing her child or nothing. No, I did not, because she's genuinely a good person, and she's good with my son. So no.
Understandable. Did you ever like foresee any issues of like your past coming up with that, or was that something like, hey, like this is my life now, and though like you do have a child, but you realize like, hey, I want to go on to something different? Did you like, was that, I mean, I'm sure it was a hard decision, because you know when everyone has a kid, like it's like, hey, I want to have a kid and I want to have a family, and that's what comes with it, but the reality at such a young age is that's probably not going to happen. So going from that to like into such a like long-term committed relationship so fast, was that like kind of hard to do?
Kinda, yeah. Kinda.
Because you went from like you being locked down, like you had like a kid, and you were locked down with him. Like that's hard being a young dad, and then you like
having to do everything.
Did you kind of want like some like, were you expecting freedom after, or were you expecting to go in like to such a committed relationship so fast?
I ain't gonna lie, I had a little bit of freedom. Before me and her got together, I had a little bit of freedom, you know, but... Did
you quickly realize, like, that wasn't what you wanted? Was that something that was like, Because you were young. We were, 18, 19 when we got together, so... Yeah. Did you, like, enjoy that, or was it something, like, about us that made you think, like, actually, I don't want that?
Me and Kaylee, we just connected really good, you know. That's what just, like, drew me out of that lifestyle. It's like, I was just bound to her, you know. We had so many good times together that I felt like I should just commit to her, because, like, I genuinely love being around her and stuff and spending time with her.
So speaking of all those fun times we had together, we started traveling. Like, I feel like traveling has been our thing, like, since we, like, got together.
Oh, yeah. We love traveling, and we're going to be doing a lot of traveling this year.
Yeah, so what's on our bucket list? Like, what's on our couple bucket lists to, like, travel?
Japan,
that's our number 2, because we are
She wants to go to Dubai.
We are going to Dubai in May. But that was my dream bucket list. His was Japan, but we're going to make both happen in a year. So how do you think, like, is best to, like, save for that? Like, those are big trips that, like, no, some people don't even leave their hometown in their life. How do you think is best to go about, like, doing that, like, living within your means? You know?
Just make sure that if you want to do something like that, if you want to be able to travel and shit, don't spend your money on anything else. Because it's really hard to, like, go buy a pair of Jordans and then go on a fucking trip after doing that. You're not going to be able to financially recover, you know.
I'm never gonna financially recover.
I mean, you can financially recover from a pair of shoes, but, like, if you want to go to other places and stuff like that, you got to save your money, and you got to be doing extra stuff outside of your job. You're not going to be able to just do it off your job unless you're making really, really good money at that job.
Speaking of that, there's so much money to be made out here. Like, I get, like, everyone has a career, but there is so many different side hustles. Like, there is truly money everywhere. You just have to go get it. You have to touch it, and you have to be committed to doing that. Because I know me personally, I would sell him if I could. I'm just one of those people, like, any side hustle I can do it. And I feel like living within your means is, like, very important. Like, I'm not one of those people who's going to go downtown Roanoke and, like, flash it every weekend, because, like, reality, nothing. My target audience is not Roanoke, and I can tell you now, like, that's just not for me. It might be for you, and that's okay too.
Yeah, if you go downtown every weekend, you're not going out of town.
No, because I know easily we can go downtown Roanoke and spend like $200-300.
It's a waste of money.
It is, and I'm not trying to see me mugging bitches in the same clubs every weekend.
You can drink somewhere else, like on another continent. Go to another continent and drink somewhere else. Yeah. Don't do it in the fucking And the bars downtown.
But I just know, like, even with us, like I said, coming back to, like, living within your means, we are them people, we will penny pinch on everything. And I know I'm really bad about it. And he wasn't. He came from a family or, like, a home who, when they had money, they were going to, like, spend it.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that kind of really made, like, the difference between us and how we manage money. Because I know me personally, like, if I got $1, bitch, I'm going to have $1 until I get paid again, even if that's 2 weeks. I'm just one of those people, and he wasn't when we first got together. So I think that was something we had to, like, quickly adjust to, but we got adjusted to it for the better.
Once you start saving and you see that shit start to... That's when you gonna want to keep on doing it. You know?
And saving money doesn't have to be like $200 a week. Like, you can start saving $5 a week if you have to. Any savings is better than that. And, like, you might not see it immediately, but you will. And I don't think a lot of people realize that.
Make sure you just go ahead and put it in a savings account. Don't
somewhere you can't touch it.
Yeah, don't put it somewhere where it's easy accessible, where you can just withdraw it, you know.
Yeah.
Make it where it's like hard to access.
So what is some, like, speaking of, like, bucket list stuff, since we just talked about that, embracing some fun moments, like, in marriage and embarrassing ones. So I want to hear your, like, funnest moment in marriage and, like, most embarrassing.
My funnest was when we went white water. No, I lied. It was when we was in Bimini and saw Bimini, whatever. Fucking saw Pablo. We saw Pablo Escobar's crash plane in the ocean up under us while we was jet skiing. That was probably like my funnest part of our marriage.
What do you think most embarrassing has been?
Most embarrassing in our marriage or in our whole
relationship, marriage, period.
Probably when we was humping in the shower, like, and this was like 2 weeks after I had got with her, and we was at the beach with her parents, and like her parents' friends was there too, and like I think everybody heard that shit. We was just in.
No one probably heard that, but now they're gonna know and like think about it.
I think everybody heard that shit. Honestly, they was looking at us when we came out of that fucking bathroom. We was in there for too long. Fucking mirrored and fucking coated over 4 times with fog.
Oh my god.
I was banging on the damn wall, slipping.
Okay, Nick, this ain't Pornhub, bitch. This my podcast. Damn, they don't need all.
That was
We'd have been there.
That was embarrassing for me because I felt like I was very judged when I walked out of the bathroom.
Okay, my funnest moment was. We've had so many fun moments. We've done so much. Like, it's hard. I think my fun. I don't know, dude. I think one of my. No. Yeah. Okay. My funnest moment was when we went ziplining. You had started saying it, but ziplining and whitewater rafting in Pigeon Forge. That was definitely like top tier. It was his birthday trip, and I had more fun than him, I think, because I was drunk as a skunk.
Nah, that shit was fun. Whitewater rafting was crazy, dude. Yeah. It was really crazy.
Yeah. My most embarrassing moment was when he cheated on me.
No, Colorado.
Bitch, no, that was not. I'll talk about that too. But my most embarrassing moment for me, anyways, was when he had cheated on me. And you know how all the bitches go live, and like I went live.
She threw coke at me, bro.
Yeah.
She threw coke at me.
The tiniest bag. I don't do coke, bitch. Never did. Next. Don't be on here telling me I'm a cokehead. But I threw coke at him from another party, and I was like, I'm leaving you. I'm never getting back with you. And then I was back with him 2 days later, looking like an idiot, looking dumb as hell. That's embarrassing. If you bitches is breaking up with your man every other day on social media and talking about his jaws stinking, he get his ass ate from the front and the back, and you was sucking on his balls, deep throating them, bitch.
Damn.
And then you get back with them. and all of a sudden he's the world's greatest man. Y'all little bitches are embarrassing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
No,
It's
not
crazy.
me. But another embarrassing moment, we was in Denver and we was riding scooters and I ate shit and he thinks it's the funniest thing ever. Like,
dude, she started getting that death wobble on the front. It was over for her. She literally ate cement.
Dude, ate shit. Ate dog shit.
Yeah.
But I feel like we touched on some of our bigger topics in this. Our very first video, I was super excited to do. Like I said, this is all very beginner. You can tell. Super beginner, but
It
fun
look
for
good
me.
though. It look good though.
Fun
It
for
look
me.
good though.
And I do plan on having other people. So if you a real raw bitch that got some shit to say, we ready to talk about girl code, bitch. And don't get on here fronting, because I'm going to know if you bitch is fake or not. Quick. And you going to be in the hot seat because I want to know all the answers. So anyways, y'all ain't really get the unfiltered version of me yet, but y'all kind of got the soft and real side, which is what this shit's about.
Yeah.
So like I said, welcome to Kaylee Unfiltered. Either you fuck with me or you don't. And if you don't, bitch, I don't give a fuck. Fuck you and your mama. Thank you.
Oh.